The illustrious Jabba bids you welcome. I'm going to regret this.
I'm Pete Mitchell. He's Peyton Jones. And this is the Church Planner Podcast, brought to you by Church Planner Magazine.
Hey, Church Planner, this is Pete Mitchell.
And this is Peyton Jones, author of Church Plantology. Cha-ching, right out the gate.
You know, I've written 6 books, but you don't hear me cha-chinging. You don't hear me pushing them.
And you've been in a movie.
Oh,
Tell us about it, Pete. Yes, I went there.
Oh, no. Did I tell you I had to look it up on Netflix and I could, like, there was 3 seconds where I was on the screen.
Yes.
I'm like,
I saw it. I actually watched and fast forwarded to where you said, and then boom.
Oh, really? I didn't
watch. Yes.
Anyway, I'm not going to go any further on that subject at all. Hey, dude. So yesterday, I know you can't see this. I had a meeting with a buddy of mine where I was asking him about, he's a realtor broker, and I was asking him about selling our house and stuff like that, so we can get the heck out of Dodge. And on my way back, I know you can't see this.
Whoa.
That's a pink Tesla.
I can see that. Wow.
Well, you can't see the license plate. The license plate was moved to TX, and it was a Texas license plate.
No.
And I was like, is this a sign
that's
from
someone.
God? Is this a sign from God?
That's an employee right there.
Oh, it had to have been, right? Because it was
that's
like
an employee, yeah, because they're moving the factory there. Yeah. That's pretty dang cool. Move to Texas.
I mean, their office is up in Palo Alto, so I don't know what they're doing down in Southern Cal.
Yeah, I know. Like, they would never come down to Orange County or San Diego. Would you stay up in your area?
I wouldn't go down there.
San Diego's the bomb.
It's bombed? Who bombed it?
No, San Diego. I'm telling you, man, if I have to live in the heat, this is where I want to be. I don't want to live in the heat. I mean, but
I will probably be moving to a place hotter.
Yes, you will.
But it'll be
free. That is the trade-off. Yes, that is the trade-off for you.
And that's all I care about, is I want to be free.
So today's episode is the last but one, as the British like to say. The last but one. They also say not instead of zero. Okay, have you seen James Bond? And if so, don't tell me about it.
Yes. He died.
Was it good? I knew it. I knew he would die.
Did
he give birth to himself, though? No, I figured he's dying in this one.
Yeah, you know what was funny is there was some foreshadowing that I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen now.
Did you really just tell our audience at the end of the movie that he dies?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wow. So everybody, spoiler alert on today's episode.
I don't care.
If you don't want to hear what happens to James Bond,
I'm not going to tell you what happens.
Rewind 1 minute and don't listen any further.
Yeah. No, but there was something else that happened. I was like, oh, dude, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Well, don't tell me that, because I am rewatching
there's
all of them.
No way when you see this one scene, you don't figure out exactly what's going to happen to Bond.
Yeah. Right.
Because it was like, give me a stinking break. Like that was such blatant foreshadowing.
Right.
It's not even funny. So you knew what was going to happen. And so Bond did not care that he died at the end. Like, he was like, yeah, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Because of something else.
Yeah, I'm excited about this movie. I've gone back and watched.
It was better than the other ones. I didn't think the other ones were all that good.
I did. So Casino Royale to me was phenomenal, because I was
that was the first one, right?
Yeah, with the card
that
game.
one I think was pretty good, but the other ones I didn't think were that good.
Yeah. So, and I love how Casino Royale And then the next one, which is Quantum of Solace, ends up like ending seconds. It just picks up seconds after the other one. Like he finds a guy, he shoots him in the leg, and then his whole pursuit, and she's trying to call him back. M is saying, no, get back here. And he goes kind of rogue in that one. Well, then you have, not Spectre, but what was the other one? The third one to me is the best. And that's the one where he goes to his old family home at the end and he sets all those booby traps when all the guys come in for him. I love that one. I can't remember the name of it. It's the best one. And then Skyfall. And then Spectre was good. Like, I've loved all four of them. I thought they were all excellent movies, good James Bond. So I am going to miss this incarnation of Bond. I think most of them were lame. I actually found the Sean Connery James Bonds. I know it's cool to say, oh, I really like it. Just like when Johnny Cash died, everybody was suddenly a Johnny Cash fan. It was kind of like, yeah, you guys all say you like Sean Connery. I bet you've never actually watched a Sean Connery Bond movie because they're boring as heck. The Roger Moore ones were goofy as all get out. Although when I was a kid, Moonraker was quite the thing with Jaws. A guy with all the metal teeth. So we like that. But it's a terrible movie. Pierce Brosnan, GoldenEye, one of the best video games ever came off that. But they were lackluster. I mean, they weren't that great of movies, to be honest. So this is the first Bond movies where I feel like these are just good films. Casino Royale still holds up after all these years. And I like the fact that they do a very tortured take on the character. Some of his old ways, like they modernized him a bit. He's not quite the womanizer that he was in the old ones. Like he's gross in the old ones. Like he would not endure the Me Too movement. He just objectifies every woman he comes across. In the modern incarnation, they bring out that he's jacked. Like he's totally jacked up. And I like that dynamic that they don't praise it. They just say, yeah, he's messed up. And they keep bringing that up throughout the thing is you're messed up a bit. And I like that. So I like my James Bond a little bit broken.
Well, you heard how they were like debating, should the next James Bond be a woman?
I tried not to.
Well, the reason is because in this movie, there's another 007 and it's a woman. And I'm like, maybe they were thinking they were going to make her the new James Bond going forward.
They were going to do that in the Nolan films for Batman. Remember the character that they had? I don't remember who he was, what role he played. But he was like a detective or a cop or something. Yeah. And they were talking about making him like a Robin, or he'll take over the mantle of the Bat.
Really?
And they were saying maybe because in the end of the film, like he discovers the Bat Cave or something. Yeah, wasn't that like the little that Easter egg? And you're thinking, he's the next. He's going to carry on the mantle. Well, you can't redo Batman. Like you're either raised by Bruce or you are Bruce. Like you can't just stumble into the Batcave and go. And I think they got backlash recently. This has been a big thing recently. Is Superman, I guess, just came out as bisexual in the comic. And
did he
also,
really?
Yeah, and Robin came out that way. And when Robin happened about a month ago, it's just, I'm a huge Batman fan. Batman and Superman, I like them a lot. And so for me, it was really interesting to read people's comments. Like in the majority of people, there were people saying, I feel seen, this is me. But the majority of people were like, hey, you're actually dishonoring this character because that is not how the character was conceived or written. And I tend to agree with this. If you're going to take somebody else's creative work, honor the creative work. Don't reinvent it based on whatever social fad happens to be going on or identity politics. Actually create, and this is what the majority of fans said. I was really interested to read this because people are like, look, I got no problem with LGBT, but that's not who that character is. You've actually had to contort that character into something he's not. If you really want to do this, create your own character and make them bisexual or gay, or create your own 007 and make it 008. Don't make it 007.
Right.
007 is James Bond, right? Make it some other character and make it a female. And so I tend to agree with that train of thought, is don't make Batman a woman. You can have Batwoman. There is a Batwoman, but there's Batman. It's not, so you get a Batwoman in addition to Batman. If you want to see Batman as a girl, you got Batwoman, but it's not Batman as a woman, right? Like there's a difference. And I just think when it comes to fictionalized, IP, you honor those characters. Just seems wrong to me. The same reason for Ghostbusters. Like, I was happy. Like, hey, I'm cool if you want to make a girl Ghostbuster movie, but
you should have made it at least funny. I'm just going to throw that in there.
I didn't see it, but it's like, I don't have any problem.
It wasn't good. It had nothing to do with
the timing was wrong.
It just wasn't good writing.
Yeah, the timing was wrong. You could literally make a all-female Ghostbusters as long as you don't try to make them the Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters are the characters we've all been waiting for in the next Ghostbusters movies. The mistake that movie made was it was a little bit of a virtue signal. Oh, we're going to make an all-girl one. And people went, no, because we love the characters that we love and we want to see them again. It's all timing. Blizzard Entertainment did the same thing, where the fans for years were waiting for the next Diablo, part of the Diablo franchise. And Blizzard built all this hype up, and at the conference revealed a mobile game rather than the next installment. And people went nuts. And it's 2 years on, maybe 3 years on, and they've still never released that mobile game because it just got buried. Like the fans were like, no, I don't care about this. You built us up to think we were getting this. And I think you got to be careful with that stuff. People are like, hey, this was part of my childhood. Superman, Batman, these are iconic characters. Ghostbusters, that's my childhood, right? It'd be like you make E.T., but now E.T.'s a girl, right?
E.T.'s a girl? What does that mean?
No, I'm saying, like, if you made and you just made an E.T. movie just for it to be
E.T.'s
a girl.
A boy? I'm just asking.
I am not. I thought about that after I said it, but you don't. What I'm saying is,
E.T. a human. You can't do that.
Mac and Me. I that's questionable. I don't know. Have you ever seen those clips, by the way? Speaking of Mac and Me, where Paul Rudd goes on the show. And there's a funny clip on there every time that Paul Rudd goes on the Conan O'Brien show. Conan shows this clip from his upcoming movie, and it's the same clip of this like really cheesy low budget science fiction film. It was like an ET knockoff called Mac and Me, where the aliens the whole time has this expression.
That's awesome.
And they show this scene of them in a wagon going off a cliff, and he shows it every time that Paul Rudd's ever on the show promotes, and he shows that same clip. I love stuff like that.
It's kind of like do you ever watch The Family Guy?
I do not. It crosses way too many lines for me.
Oh yeah, for sure. But they used to have this scene where all of a sudden Peter Griffin starts fighting this chicken, and like the fight will last for 10 minutes. And like
serious?
there's nothing that starts it. It's just they hate each other. The fight will go for 10 minutes. And then it'll end. And then like another episode, 10 episodes later, all of a sudden there's the chicken. Like they'll be doing something totally different, but they see each other and they start fighting.
Well, isn't there some on The Family Guy? Isn't there some singer that they always cut to? It's like a live action clip, some music clip of some singer playing. And people get, it's like either a polka or a jazz musician or a country western. And people get really mad about it. Like people like wrote into the show to complain because it's when they need filler. Like say that chicken fight breaks out and it's going on really long and they're like, crap, we don't have enough animation. They'll put like a minute or 2 minutes. And the longest one they did was something like 3 minutes of this singer. And they just do it because they need the stock footage and they figure, hey, this is funny. We'll cut to this country singer, and then boom, tie it back in. So
yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Oh, there's the dog.
There she is. She saw you and, oh, heck no.
Yeah.
Went back around
She'd be like, I can't wait to bite him.
He looks tasty. Yeah, she lets us know, man. So I got, we do these films through the word. We did these discipleship films. And the directors made a stormtrooper shirt for me. It's the helmet, and it's got my beard coming out the bottom. And then he's got headphones on. He's listening to it through the word thing. That was pretty cool. Well, anyways, it's a husband and wife couple. The wife came onto the property, and my dog was not in the yard, but was in the house and went ballistic. Like, she has a signature bark if someone's on the property that she will make. It's pretty cool. It's better than a Ring camera. If someone's here that's not supposed to be, there's a distinct bark that breaks, and we're like, oh, who's here? So we're getting conditioned. Our dog is conditioning us.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I wrote on Richie Rich, his robot maid. Richie's in trouble. Remember that? You ever heard
the story about Pavlov's dogs?
Yes.
I don't know, but it rings a bell.
That's pretty good. Pavlov's dog is a great experiment. I remember taking child psychology, and they showed all of these experiments that they did, psychological experiments on humans. And they used to mess with babies. Yeah, they did this one where they would check baby spatial awareness, and they would have this tile floor, and they had this like pin that they could crawl around in with tile floor. And then there would be a tile floor on a lower level, and it would be glass stretching out. And so that the tiles would change dimension, and the babies wouldn't go out on it, and so they would, and the babies would get scared of the edge. So it was really interesting. And so they would mess with these babies and get them to cry. And I remember at a young age going, yeah, a lot of these experiments are really messed up. Like, they're totally messing with babies, taking notes.
I'm pretty sure I was.
Oh, yeah, the baby's traumatized by this. Wow,
I'm pretty sure I was a product of some of those experiments.
Oh, yeah.
It explains a lot about me.
Yes, I agree. That's why when we go to like Ruby's and stuff, you start to cry when we go in the doorway. You see those tile floors. Remember that time you started crying? I'm like, Pete, what's wrong? I just figured you really wanted like a milkshake, and there was a long line, but it turned out. You said
you weren't going to bring that up.
Oklahoma.
Should we get into today's topic?
Yes, but the pumpkin milkshake at Ruby's is delicious, and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. All right, that's first sponsor done.
The Ruby's close to us closed with the pandemic and never reopened.
Dude,
so.
You know what? Like, I have to share, like, there's times in history where you say, we will not forgive and we will not forget. And Soup Plantation is that for me. That was a bitter pill to swallow. Now, I stand alone. Nobody goes to Soup Plantation who is under 65 or non-retirement age, except for the Joneses. Because, Pete, they hand make their soups every day fresh. And you can walk up and there's 6 cauldrons of soup there. And fresh baked bread. I'm telling you, no, this isn't Ruby's. I'm talking about Soup Plantation.
I know.
They're gone, dude. They're gone.
Oh, they're gone.
They're gone. And it hurts my soul because I want that harvest medley soup this time of year. Every year, I want that pumpkin bread, Pete. I want the autumnal harvest brewed in a pot for me, and it's gone forever. Like tears on a child.
Gone forever.
Yeah. Like tears in the rain.
I guess.
All these moments in time, Blade Runner. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Is that Batman?
No, that's Rutger Hauer's amazing speech right before he says time to die. He gives that amazing speech. What? Blade Runner. When he's getting ready to die, and he says,
who dies?
Things. Rutger Hauer as
Who's
the
that?
He's in Blade Runner. The what do they call them? The androids that.
Oh, you're talking about the original Blade Runner.
The original, yeah.
Not that.
No, not that. I bought that soundtrack, by the way. But yeah, apparently they're going to make another one. Did you hear that?
And oh, geez, I'm not watching.
Pete and I actually went and saw that movie together. We were so excited, and Pete was not thrilled. But we walked out, and that was the first thing. I looked over at Pete, and I went, bah, bah. The whole soundtrack was like.
Didn't we see that with Barry too?
Was Barry with us? I don't think he was.
No, it was Deliver Us from Evil we saw with Barry, right?
Oh, yeah. I think we traumatized him.
I think we did.
Yeah. He was living with my mother-in-law, and she reported whimpers coming from his bedroom that night. So,
but let's face it, that could have been any night with Barry.
And he kept his night. Normally he would turn his nightlight off like around 2-3 in the morning, but his nightlight stayed on all night. Sorry, this is what happens if you're my intern. We do make fun of you.
He doesn't listen to the podcast.
He doesn't anymore. No, he's on the Ministry Ninja podcast, which
you said you're canceling, right?
Yeah, we're gonna fold it down. We're gonna do a couple more episodes, and then we're gonna fold it down so that we can start another podcast. Which I
heard it was because people complained that there wasn't any smack talk. And they thought it was going to be like Church Planner Podcast, and it wasn't, and they didn't like that.
Well, it's so funny you say that because Barry recently goes, hey, when we start this new podcast, because it's been a great podcast, we've run it for a few years. He goes, I think we should have more banter, kind of like Smack Talk. But the thing is you can't reproduce our Smack Talk because of just the sheer amount of stupidity that you and I bring out on this thing.
Well, the other thing, too, is like part of the reason why Smack Talk works. So when Regis was on that Regis and Kelly show, or Regis Live, or whatever they called it, they refused to talk to each other before they got on stage for the show because they needed that. Like,
it makes total sense
for you and I. It literally, we haven't really talked all week in most weeks. And it's like, this is us talking to find out what's going on in each other's lives.
Pretty much.
So if you've already done it on one podcast, it makes it really hard to then, get right back into that groove and do it on another podcast.
But we know that you have no friends if you're a church planner, right? All your minister friends don't want to hang out with you because they're convinced you're nuts. You're sending pastors like, oh, don't talk to me. You just want money all the time, or you want to cry and whimper to me. So we're inviting you into our friendship. We're your friends, dude. Like, we'll totally hang with you.
Well, Peyton will.
Yeah. I guess, Pete will just kind of look over every once in a while and go, what not, baby? Like he's cool.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I'm like checking out all kinds of homes in Texas and Tennessee.
Will you get one with the secret bookcase? Then we can be secret bookcase buddies?
No, because I would not put any books on it.
We'll put the books on it, but then I know what you're going to keep behind it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, I don't think so.
So we had first time cleaning people the other day because we've cleaned the upstairs, but we needed a deep clean. So we hired these people come in for 8 hours and they cleaned that bookcase. They did not discover the secret room. I was so happy.
I didn't know you had a secret room.
You didn't know this?
No.
Oh, well, it's not so secret now. It's on the podcast. I have a secret room in my office. I have a bookcase that opens up.
You literally keep nothing in it, huh? It's totally empty.
I might just have some Batman things in there. I call it the Bat Cave. It's painted gray, like the Bat Cave. Yep.
That's bad.
So my finish carpenter, he's a craftsman. Obviously, he built what's behind me. He built a hidden compartment in this thing. There's a hidden compartment over my fire, but I have like amazing amount of it. I'm Bruce Wayne, dude. I'm just telling you. I'm Bruce Wayne. You gotta come see my new thing. Looks like Wayne Manor.
If I was ever invited to your house, I'd come visit, but I've never been invited.
You're like a vampire. You need to wait for the official invitation. All right.
What I've been told is from your wife, don't you dare ever show up at our house again.
That does sound like something. No, it's funny. I probably mention this every time you say it. My wife is actually the opposite. She's always like, whatever happens, you need to keep Pete as a friend in your life. Because she
clearly she doesn't know me well enough, or she doesn't listen to the podcast.
No, she does. And well, not often anymore, because I think like a lot of people, getting past the 30 minutes or more of smack talk can be difficult, right? We've ended up becoming Seinfeld, where it becomes the podcast about nothing. No, but in all honesty, we should get into the topic and talk about some things that we've tried to really convey over the last few years. We're going to do a part 2 today of the values. that we've tried to instill.
Praise God, it's time for this week's topic.
Let's get down to the nitty gritty. I love that you literally cut me off
because you skipped it. You skipped it.
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to back off and let you do your thing because I got sound effects too.
If you only knew the power of a dark.
Could you imagine if that's what our soundboard was? We just have little toys that we hold up to the mic.
Like there's a Mr. T in my pocket. There's a Mr. T in my pocket that I do not own, but I do have Darth Vader in my pocket. And Liberty the other day was like, because we watched episode 4. She's like, yeah, Dad, where's your Darth Vader thing you used to have that you could push? I used to sit in my car, and when I get mad at people when I was driving,
You have failed me for the last time.
I would hit buttons like instead of raging in front of my kids. So, hey, sanctification and baby steps, right? So anyways, heading on to our themes. Let's talk about the Church Planner podcast, Pete. Let's talk about the podcast itself, the show that is about itself today. I want to talk a little bit about some of our values. Now, we covered last week that being authentic is better than being respected, right? And what I mean by that is not the respect that Proverbs talks about. Like there's a respect that Proverbs talks about. This just, you're a good man, you're a man of your word, man of honor, a woman of honor. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that celebrityism thing. Pete and I didn't give a rip about that, right? As evidenced by our smack talk. Number one, cha-ching. We weren't out to make money off you, right? Like we could have monetized the wazoo out of this thing. We just chose not to. And then Bivo. By the way, all of our sponsors are working trade with us. We're not getting rich off that, right? They do things for us. We use their services and we say, hey, we'll put you on our podcast. Don't make us pay you. And then lastly, Bivo, it's kind of a big part. But our other one is bigger is not better. We have tried to honor on this podcast, and this is hitting on the new ones today, the fact that we are not here to help you start a big thing, build your empire, start a mega church. We have been here to help you do what God has called you to do, knowing and understanding that 90% of churches out there are churches of 100 or less. And to me, that's equally as viable. Look, I go to a church that has like 20 people in it. It's a little church plant. It doesn't have a ton of people. I show up, I worship. I don't do a bunch there. I just encourage the guy that's planning. There's a lot of potential there. And I always tell them, I say, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You'll never have me approach you and say, hey, I think you ought to, I'm just going to sit here and support you, man. And, because some people probably wonder, like, what's it like having Peyton in your church plant? I think it's pretty cool, right? I never come to church on time. Other than that, I think it's pretty cool. We're always late, dude, like every week.
I still remember that one time you visited that church up in Oregon, Bend, Oregon, and you showed up in a full Batman outfit, complete with the ears and cape.
Yeah. Yeah. And they asked me at the door, they're like, are you? And I went, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Yeah. So
have you seen that clip where Michael Keaton is like delivering the commencement speech at a college? And he goes, and one more thing, he's done with the speech. And he like puts on sunglasses and he goes, I'm Batman. And everyone
That's
goes
so
crazy.
Good. So there's the way he says it, and then there's the way that the Lego Batman says, "Hi, because I'm Batman." That's the best. The way that the Lego Batman says it is so funny. So as an aside, we'll get back to where we're going from here, but we want to honor every size. I recently said this on in conversation to someone. I want to give him a shout out. Carl Vaders writes for Christianity Today and Outreach. To me, I think Carl Vaders is one of the most underrated voices in America today. I have a huge amount of respect for him, and I think his small churches, he wrote a book called The Grasshopper Myth, which is all about like churches are small that want to get big, which, by the way, was the theme kind of Church to Zero. One of the themes, if it had a theme, was trying to get you to stay in your lane and be what God called you to be. But Carl Vaders, if you get a chance to read some of his stuff, he is literally, this is his area. Bigger's not better. And he mentioned, because he blew past those thresholds that like people used to talk about back in the day, how to pass the 200 threshold, and he went for it and he did it and he hated it. And he came back and shrunk his church back down and broke off and just said, look, I just think that's crazy. We have so much stuff that these big churches don't have by way of community. I'll never give that up again. So he's a neat guy. And Pete and I once got served by his son-in-law back when we used to have our meetings at Islands. Remember that?
I remember. He was the bartender.
Well, I was recently on Carl's podcast and I mentioned that. And Carl goes, I forgot about that. So it's a small world, everybody. But leading on from that, another one of our values is multiplication is king, right? If size doesn't matter, it's multiplication that matters. It's not growing by addition. It's growing by multiplication. And that leads into one of our values with exponential. I am super grateful for exponential, which is teaching. And no, they're not paying me, but I just want to give a few shout outs because there are people that really own these spaces that, when Pete and I were getting going, I mean, exponential was already there, but back then they were a church planting organization. Somewhere along the line, they kind of realized we got to go up the food chain and we got to start talking to churches that exist to multiply. And that's kind of become their new space that they occupy. And I'm super grateful because having been on the staff of Exponential at one time, watching all these people write in, like it was cool. We got to read all these rad testimonies where people are like, I came to the conference because I was looking for an intern. And then they get wrecked at this conference. And basically they realize, and we would read these things or testimonials of people saying, I've been focusing on the wrong thing my entire ministry. Again, going back to the previous thing, I wanted to get big and hating it, but understanding multiplication, training up and raising up others like Jesus did, like Paul did. That's rad. Also, discipleship is the mandate, right? Not church planning. We've tried to tell you that even though we're here to talk about church planning is a result. Discipleship, evangelism, those things are at the root, right, of what you're supposed to be doing.
Can you tell who's ever texting you to knock it off?
You know what it is? It's my Ring camera, which when you have a Doberman, let me just tell you, Dobermans are excitable creatures and they run around like the whole day. Like, isn't this fun? Look what I found. I found a stick. I found a leaf. Look, there's a bug. There's a butterfly. There's a bird. Oh my gosh, there's a cat. I'm going to eat it. Oh my gosh, the 13-year-old dog. I'm going to eat it too. And then it's a bird. Oh, look, a leaf. And they just do this endless cycle, eating everything, digging up plants like nonstop. So you got to keep Dobermans busy and make them tired, which is really hard to do. I just like to say
that I really like your 13-year-old dog.
She is the best. She loves my office. She sleeps in here all the time, but she's very senile and she never knows what to do. So she walks around a bunch like, am I supposed to be in this room? Wait, no. Am I supposed to be in this room? No. So she walks around. Do I need to go outside and go to the bathroom? I don't know. So you take her out and you can tell. You can see her thought. She goes outside. She gets all excited. Her tail's wagging. Then she stops. And she circles and looks around like, where am I? What am I doing? It's hilarious. So, and she's real sweet. Yeah, she's a great dog. I can't stay on task. You know not to distract me.
Yeah, I'm back.
Our other value, what time are we going till today? Oh, I guess we got to end it in 10 minutes. Do you got a meeting at 11? Because Josh Henry would sure like to meet us then.
I do not have a meeting at 11, or
well, you do now. So the other one,
hey, is this going to be a 3-parter?
No, it's not, because Peyton has 2 minutes for each point.
There you go.
The other thing is the Spirit's anointing is not optional. I mean, it is. You can move ahead with or without the Holy Spirit. That is entirely up to you. But it's actually required for you to do the things that God's called you to do. The Holy Spirit, being filled with the Spirit, being baptized with the Spirit. And I don't mean that in the way that like a Pentecostal might say it. I mean it in the way that Lloyd Jones might say it, which if you've never read Joy Unspeakable, definitely pick that book up. That will be a game changer. Pick up Reaching the Unreached too, because there's quite a development of the Holy Spirit's chiching, empowering on mission. It's the rule that I live my life by. If I'm going to do something, I better be seeking God. I better be devoting myself to him. I shouldn't be on internet porn. I shouldn't be screwing around. I shouldn't be being dishonest. Like all those things when it comes to the Spirit's power, empowering. When people go, oh, wow, where'd that guy get that power from in his life? Guys like Chuck Smith, John Wesley, surrender, literally surrender to God, every part of their mind, body, and soul. That is the secret to receiving the power of the Holy Spirit, or being filled with him. That's all it means. It just means you're filled with God. It's not even like this abstract power, like you have superpowers. If you start approaching the Holy Spirit in that way, he will elude you because he will not become the power that can be bought, like Simon the Magus wanted. He is a person, and he will fill you, and it becomes about that relationship, walking with him. Like when Jesus says, if you love me, you obey my commandments. And then he talks about, if you abide in me, you will bear much fruit. That we don't talk about these things. And yet these were the things that Jesus spent John 14, 15, 16 speaking to his disciples about on the night he was betrayed. Now, I should say something like that's a big chunk of that gospel, where Jesus just spelling all this stuff that I'm talking about out right now. And we pretend like it doesn't exist, So it's not an option, or it shouldn't be. I guess it is optional, but not if you really want to get serious about reaching people. It is a necessity. APEST is the lost strategy, what Alan Hirsch calls the forgotten ways. That has been a huge value. When I wrote Church Zero, cha-ching, and Church Plantology, cha-ching, they really focus a lot on APEST. I got away from APEST with Reaching the Unreached, cha-ching, because I should have just saved that for one, cha-ching, because that was more about body ministry and the anointing of every believer and their gifts and passions. But when it comes to the APEST, that is the strategy of multiplication that God hardwired into the church. It's actually the strategy of ministry. Jesus had all 5 functions. He ascends on high, and it says he gives these as gifts to the church to fulfill his ministry and to fill the earth with himself through the church. So as we operate in the APEST and embrace it, we become apostolic, prophetic, evangelistic, shepherding, and teaching, shepherds and teachers. So, and then those 5 together form the mighty robot Voltron, and the church is able to kick some demon butt. Know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Voltron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lastly, yes, Voltron, blazing sword. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
People
Pete
that are
did the
listening to the
blazing
podcast
sword
instead of watching it have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, Pete did that. All he had to do was the hand motion of the 2 fists coming together and then pulling them apart in a straight line, and that energy sword. Yeah, it's so rad. I have not watched the new He-Man, by the way. I started to watch it and I was impressed.
Were you?
Yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
Why?
I'm not watching He-Man.
Do you hear the pain in my voice just then?
Ever since I
The
saw
dismay?
Dolph Lundgren be He-Man, I can't do it.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't do
pretty
it.
bad. I did, though. I watched that Toys That Made Us, and they talked about that. And they said, keep in mind how ambitious, though, of a film that was for its time. Right?
Yeah, that doesn't justify it. I can't do it.
I know, it's pretty bad. All right. So teams are indispensable. That is the last thing that I have to say today. Teams are indispensable. If you're going to be Bivo, you need a team. If you're going to multiply, you need a team. If you're going to church plant effectively and exhibit the ministry, 5 functions of Jesus, well, guess what, pal? You need a stinking team. So these are the things, the values that we've tried to teach over the years. Being authentic is better than being a celebrity. Don't try to make money off of people through ministry. Bivocationalism is a survival skill all around for your own bank account and also for your church. Bigger is not better. Multiplication is king. Discipleship is the mandate. The Spirit's anointing is necessary. APES is the law. Strategy and teams, my friend, are indispensable. Those have been our values. I mean, can you think of any other than sound effects are not necessary?
Did we do Bivo last week?
Yeah, we did that last week.
Well, I think we should do it again.
We jumped it in the queue because, well, Pete, you took us there, so I moved it.
Yeah, no, I'm such a believer in Bivo. That's all I'm going to say. Bivo, Kovo, whatever you want to call it. I'm a believer in it.
Well, me too. And you're gonna see Pete and I in future. In fact, we're heading off to our meeting. We can't announce it yet, and nor should we. But next week is our final episode for Church Planner Podcast, the big 450, right, Pete?
Yes, and I believe we're supposed to be wearing our briefs on the outside of our pants so we can pretend like we're superheroes.
We should wear underoos. I'll wear He-Man underoos.
I don't have any. I'm not buying any.
Wait, Amazon, it takes 2 days to get here. What if I buy you some?
I don't want you buying me underwear. That just seems weird to me.
But you used to talk about underwear nonstop. Oh, wait. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's for next week. Anyone who's been a part of this podcast knows that Pete has had phases that he's gone through, like the phases of a child's development. And during those times, Pete's been all about certain things. You can see him entering into the new phase, which is I'm moving. And before that, it was guns.
That's
and
true,
before that, it was cars. Yeah, you're
can.
heading into a new phase. I've known you long enough to recognize what's happening.
It's so funny because it's true.
Oh, this was good. I can't quit you, Pete Mitchell. So Pete and I have become. Sorry. I made you uncomfortable. That's another thing we'll talk about. Is all the ways Peyton makes Pete uncomfortable next week. But while you're being made uncomfortable like that and thinking about all those values, Pete, how do you keep on top of your church's bookkeeping?
Well, what I do is I hire a little company called Simplify Church. I'll contact Josh Henry over at simplifychurch.com, and Josh at simplifychurch.com takes care of all my needs.
That's good to know that you have help, Pete, because I remember when you were treasurer and you got our merchant account canceled. That's great that you have
wasn't treasurer when I got it canceled.
Next week again.
It was like a year later, maybe 2.
The final episode, we're going to be talking about all the crazy things that happened. So we'll be making a list. If you guys want to have us talk about any aspect of the podcast, put something on the Facebook comments or go over to the Facebook page and let us know or message us or whatever. Let us know. We'll talk about if you have a moment that you want us to relive on next week's episode, let us know here. Meanwhile, Pete, sermonboss.com. You should go there because I'll tell you why. I'm looking at the clock. We got to hurry up and go. Sermonboss.com, Pete. Go there and you can put all your media in one place on your website and keep people there. You don't have to leave. You just go to sermonboss.com and they'll help you migrate everything over to your website. So you can have all those plugins on your one website. You know what I'm talking about?
Sermonboss.com.
Yeah, sermonboss.com. All right. Well, this has been Peyton Jones and Pete Mitchell reminding you if you want to reach once nobody's reaching, you need to go where nobody's going and do what nobody's doing. See you later.
Oh, man, I forgot to hit the record button.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Church Planner Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Peyton Jones. We'd love to hear your comments on this episode of the Church Planner Podcast. Visit us online and let us know what you thought at churchplannerpodcast.com. If you subscribe to us via iTunes and have enjoyed the podcast, leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive in iTunes, the more iTunes will promote us to other church planners who would benefit from this show. This podcast is brought to you by the Church Planner Magazine, which is available in the iTunes newsstand or online via churchplannermagazine.com.